There are people in the world who blame the Jews for absolutely everything, and that is pathetic. And these people think that they worked out the secret of the world, and they're based, and they blame Jewish people for everything.
When it comes to contemporary media and our ability to have open discussions on topics that used to be verboten, you are now granted voices like that of Andrew Tate, newly in Florida. He's been on PBD. He's spoken about parenting, masculinity, lawfare, everything. But interestingly, as a Muslim and a Brit, he's spoken about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Say what you like about Andrew Tate. He ain't reticent about offering an opinion, and say what you want about that dude. Man, when things kicked off for me, Andrew Tate, he was front and center, perhaps because of his own personal experiences, or perhaps because whether you agree with him or not, he speaks openly and authentically on a variety of subjects, giving you his take on Israel-Palestine. Let's have a look at that and work out whether Andrew Tate is, as his detractors claim, a kind of chauvinist and moron, or is he closer to, as his fans and many devotees say, to being a kind of new male voice of authenticity and the warrior spirit? Let's have a look together and see if we can work out, at least when it comes to the rather complex issue of Israel, Palestine, the Middle East, and its theological and geographical history, is he at least telling the truth? Let's have a look.
So Trump has been very pro-Israel, and so he's been very pro-Bibi.
Correct.
And matter-of-factly, Tate. So do you think he's wrong on that, being so supportive of Israel?
You know, this whole Jewish question thing is actually an interesting one. I'm going to talk about this. This is going to get me in more trouble. How much trouble am I in? Let me count it.
80%. The Orgons are coming for you, Tate.
Fucked. Right. T, we're going to jail. Pack a bag.
Tristan.
Right. Pack a bag. Right. So this, you know, it's actually kind of frustrating for me because when I came out of jail, I did Piers Morgan, and I told Piers that what was happening in Gaza was a massacre. And this was on like October 9th, like 2 days after.
You said genocide.
Genocide. I said it was unfair what was happening. This was before it became like widespread. This was only a couple days after. And I was told not to say that. That's going to get you in a lot of trouble. But that's what I believed, so I said it at the time. And there's a lot of people online who are fervently anti-Jew and are very anti-Semitic. And I know who these people are. And you know these people are, a lot of them. Sometimes,
Kanye West.
Yeah, well, so no, sometimes they have a point of view, and sometimes they just go way too far with it. So I think this whole argument is kind of two-pronged. The first prong.
It's funny that he's got to use the word prong there. Now, whether you agree with Andrew Tate or Donald Trump or anyone, you have to agree with the point of them. The point of them is supposed to be speaking authentically and openly. We're so used to media and media figures that hide their views behind obfuscation. Why aren't we getting the Epstein files? Why is that? Why is that? Why is it there are some people that are known to be paying out huge sums to ensure that stories about sexual misdemeanors don't hit the headlines? Why are those people not investigated? Why is it that we can have like Diddy and his parties going on for years? And remember, Diddy ain't been to trial yet, so no one knows the truth of that. What we get in the shape of Andrew Tate is something that we'd rather lost. Someone that's brave enough to speak their mind. A lot of times, like with anyone who I follow online, I see stuff that Andrew Tate says, and I think, oh, I don't really agree with that. But I think that every time I see a post from Keir Starmer, is anyone claiming that Keir Starmer should be banned or banished or jailed? Who has the bigger and most meaningful negative impact on our planet? Andrew Tate, who's been called everything from a misogynist to a rapist, or Keir Starmer, who is right now suggesting from a position of rationalism and peculiarly neutered jingoism that we should be spending more money than at any point since the Cold War, this is his own words, on fighting the invincible Russia. Who's the biggest threat? Tate or Starmer? Let me know in the comments and chat. So whether you like him or not, you have to agree with the principle of him. This is someone that, like there's so many people on the left that would say that what happened in Gaza after October the 7th was a genocide, that would also say, oh, I hate Andrew Tate. And in a way what they're saying is, I don't like the vulgarity of him. I think that there's no difference between being a chauvinist and a rapist, essentially. That's an argument that's advanced. Or there's no difference between being a nationalist and a racist. All of these points and nuances got collapsed and conflated by the liberal establishment, and they were meant to be the people we could rely upon for reason. They let us down, they lied, and they betrayed us, and the reason for that is simple. There were no moral principles or ethics underneath what they were claiming. It was actually just a play for power that turned out to be globalist power. I'm not suggesting every single advocate for liberalism or social justice is a kind of tyrannical, dictatorial figure with no values or ethics, although that's the sort of claim that's continually made about figures on the right. What I'm saying is that they were doing the donkey work for globalism. They were doing the spade work for a new kind of imperialism, which can't succeed as long as you have voices like Donald Trump, effective political leader, or Andrew Tate, effective cultural commentator, in the mix. You have to shut them down. You have to jail Trump and jail Tate. And who is it that's advocating for that? I have a sense that it's the very people that benefit from the Epstein lists not being released. I have a sense that it's the very people that don't want there to be an open conversation about Israel, Palestine, God, history, the Bible, imperialism, colonialism, and the impact of decisions that were made by Western powers on the people of that region that we still call the Middle East.
There are people in the world who blame the Jews for absolutely everything, and that is pathetic. And these people think that they worked out the secret of the world, and they're based, and they blame Jewish people for everything. They're like, oh, but that's the Jews. What is? Race mixing is the Jews. Maybe they're attacking me for supporting race mixing. My dad is black, my mother is white. Why do you think the Israelis called me and told me to say this? It's my upbringing. Or they'll say, oh, but you can't get a girlfriend because the girls have all been subverted by the media. That's the Jews. How did the Jews keep you out the gym? Because your arms are skinny, bro. How did the Jews stop you from being a man they want to fuck? Explain that to me. They go so far with it. And if you try and point this out, you're instantly a Mossad agent. Even I get this. After defending Palestine and risking my life, because they could have locked me back up and I was told not to, they're still not happy with me because I don't go far enough with blaming the rain on the Jews. It rained outside. You didn't have an umbrella. The Jews did it. So there's the psycho side of it.
Are you a yo-yo dieter? You lose weight, you gain the weight back again, you hate yourself, you be sick, you're standing in front of the mirror, you're crying, you're screaming the names of the Lord into a broken mirror. That's got to stop. It's time for you to try lean instead of that weird serial killer thing you were doing just before. It's dangerous to be a yo-yo dieter. Studies show that you can increase the risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other health problems. Breaking free of your yo-yo diet pattern is the main reason doctors created lean. Lean is a supplement, not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. It's not like that crazy thing, Ozempic or whatever it's called. The science behind lean is impressive. It's studied natural ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Powerful way 1 helps maintain healthy blood sugar. Powerful way 2 helps control appetite and cravings. Powerful way 3, it helps burn fat by converting it into energy. That's 3 powerful ways. Listen, if you're tired of losing weight, then just gaining that weight back again, if you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace, Lean was created for you. Let me get you started by offering you 20% off when you offer brand20 at takelean.com. That's code brand20 at takelean.com. Thank you.
But as a rational person who likes to see both sides of the argument, I would also argue it is interesting that it seems the only influence over the American government that we're not scared about or we don't measure is the Israeli influence of the American government. It seems they do have some control over the American government. They do lobby heavily, and nobody talks about it in a negative way. Whereas if the Chinese do it or the Russian do it, there seems to be a big problem. It doesn't seem to be measured when Israel does it, and nobody seems to be concerned by it. Now, whether that's a good or bad thing, you can get someone on more qualified than me to discuss. There's people more qualified than me. I would argue as a rational, intelligent individual that the American government should be pertinently aware of all influences that are put on it. Shouldn't you measure them? I'm not saying even stop them, but shouldn't you know? Because let me ask another question. This is a thought experiment. If you allow a nation to influence your nation and you allow it to happen unchecked, who's influencing the influencer? I don't know this at all. This is off the top of my head. Who says Israel's not being influenced by China, Russia, whoever? What I'm saying is they can be a conduit if you allow it to be unchecked. So I understand that Israel seems to be the only country that can influence American politics without being checked. I understand that. I understand that's strange. I agree that should be measured. That's true. However, to argue that the Jews are the only reason why you're a little bitch hiding in your house at home, that's also bullshit. There's definitely a lot of irrationality on both sides. That's what I would say about that whole subject. And I think that people should be more rational and approach it rationally.
That guy ain't dumb. Say what you like about him, he ain't dumb. He's got some interesting and nuanced perspectives. And I think a lot of the condemnation of Andrew Tate comes not from moral high ground, but from the kind of haughtiness and class snobbery that the left has been hiding behind for a long, long time. So you would have to argue that what you want is an open discourse when it comes to political influence. You would have to say that if someone is pro-Palestine and Muslim, that they should probably be inured against attacks for being pro-Israel. And when you find people in the public space being simultaneously accused of being Zionist and Nazi, the most obvious example being Elon Musk, it demonstrates that we're living in a world that kind of don't make sense. And really what we need are plain, clear ethics. Here's some of the things I've picked up along the way. You need God. You have God already. Your God is either the state or your urges, pornography and chocolate and food, or your God is your beliefs that you garnered, your righteousness, the culture. There's so many ways of being a devotee. I would say that if you have a God that on some level is directing you towards kindness and service and tolerance, that's a really great thing. Our cultures have to reflect our technology. So if you have the technology for decentralization, I would say you have to maximize decentralization. You have to mimic and mirror the conditions in which we grew, altered, lived. Some would say evolved. Some would say for which we were designed for millennia, maybe even longer than that. That you have to have maximal democracy, maximal individual freedom, but you can only have democracy and individual freedom if there are some agreed upon principles. And what the post-structuralists did and the cultural Marxists did was denied the idea that there were any moral absolutes. There are no moral absolutes. There is no good, no bad, no man, no woman, no left or right. Remember, it's possible, I think, to have communities organized around a whole variety of principles because of the technology. But you have to have some absolute values like freedom and tolerance and beauty and love and good and evil. All these things were being sort of cast out peculiarly in the era of bewilderment that's preceded this new era of populism and nationalism. That's where we are right now. So someone like Tate has to be, if not embraced, accepted, especially by those who most disagree with him. Because you can't just dismiss someone who offers you a take on Israel like that, who offers you a take that's like, I'm not an anti-Semite, I'm actually pro-Palestinian. However, I would not advocate for it. I mean, it's sort of, in a way, it's more sophisticated than you're going to get out of Joe Scarborough or Jake Tapper or Don Lemon or any one of 1,000, like, or the BBC would try out their ones to sort of condemn him. And as he says, and actually I saw him say today on X, like all these people that condemn him, they all want to do interviews with him. You know, the fact is there's no moral high ground for any of them to condemn him or anyone else from. And guess what? When you're a Christian, guess what it says? None of you are in a position to judge anyone else. There is only one judge. There is only one judge, and you will stand before that judge. But that's just what I think and what Christian theology thinks. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.